So, guys, me and Dan and a group of friends, we went to a carvery. So, for people who don't know, a carvery is basically, like a pub or a place you can go to where, you have drinks and then you can also get like a roast dinner. So, usually when you get a roast dinner or you go to a carvery, you get like a selection of meats which you can choose from and then you can go on and choose your veg. So, this particular carvery, they had turkey. So, turkey is like notoriously quite dry, especially when you have it from like Christmas period. They've got beef, which is again can be hit and miss, can be super dry or super chewy, like really hard to get beef right. So, but then I saw it there, it was like half roasted chicken. So I thought, oh, that sounds quite nice. So, I thought, that'd be quite juicy because, it's half roasted. It's not roasted just as long as what it usually is. But that's where the error in my judgment lies. So when I read it as half roasted chicken, as I said, I thought it meant, not cooked so long that it becomes dry and, chewy, but I thought it'd be nice and juicy. But no, what it literally meant was I got given half of a roasted chicken, like just dropped on my plate, just a massive chunk of just roasted chicken on my plate. I was like, holy shit. And then obviously I go on and get my veg, and then I got literally half of a roasted chicken.
Like all four of us at the table, when you said this, were like, how did you not realize you misread that? Of course you were gonna get half a chicken.
Well, no, because when I read it, I said half roasted. So, like usually when you speak in terms of half, you either think in terms of scale. So like a glass is half full or a glass half empty, or I'll be there at half past or I'll be there in half the time. So so in terms of that, instead of like scale based, I thought it meant time based. So like, half as long rather than half as much. So I read it as literally half roasted, not half of a roasted. That little bit of grammar would have made a hell of a lot of difference to me.
I worked at a carvery for 8 years, and this conversation has given me PTSD.
Vietnam flashbacks. All in.
No, not the chicken. Not the chicken. No.
It was just literally just so much chicken. Like I was eating the chicken, I was like, oh, I'm getting really full. I then turned the chicken over, and I was like, fuck me, there's even more chicken. It's just like as I kept turning this chicken and more chicken was appearing. I was like, this is freaking endless. I could not eat it.
It wasn't the whole half roasted chicken.
It was literally a whole half of a roasted chicken.
A whole half of roasted chicken. This grammar's getting worse.
Oh,
but this is what I mean, like because so in terms of that poses my question to you guys. Have you ever bought something or done something, because you've misread what it actually is you're either going to be buying or doing?
Definitely. The only thing I can think of is I bought a Final Fantasy art book and I didn't realise it was in Japanese, so when it came and then I opened it up, I was like, oh, I can't read this. But I like the pretty pictures. They look really cool.
So what was the actual item description as? Did it actually say like Japanese Final Fantasy book or something?
I can't remember. It was years ago that I bought it, so I can't really remember. Maybe it did and I didn't read it, but I don't remember. It's been so many years since I bought it. But I do actually really like it, and I do open it every now and then, but it's like, oh, I can't read this. It's all in Japanese. But, oh well.
Yeah, and I'm a tight bastard, so I'll have something open that I want to buy on Amazon and won't buy it for several days, but I will reread the page over and over again, umming and ahhing about it.
That's why reading is fundamental, because you don't like spend money or buy stuff which you don't really need. So like one of the other examples is I went on to Amazon and I bought a manga, so I bought a Kamega Kill, Volume 1. And then when that came, I was just like, something doesn't seem quite right here. I was reading it. It was in German. I was like, I was pretty certain it didn't say German. I looked on the website. I was like, no, it doesn't say German. It says like Amazon UK. So I was like, what the fuck is it in German for? And then they gave me another one for free. So that was quite nice of them.
Well, I think we can all agree that we're not going to make the same mistake of buying a half roasted chicken.
Half of a roasted chicken. Grammar, please.
Mother clucker.
Welcome to Victory Achieved Podcast, a video game podcast. This is episode 33. Are we gonna break the wall here? We've had problems recording, and this is hopefully the final time.
Ironically, this is episode 33, but this is literally our third time recording this.
Like the Naked Gun film, it's the 33 and a third.
Actually, yeah. So that reminds me. So on our very first recording of this, I was talking about the fact that this episode is, episode 33. And my teacher from school, so our health and social care teacher and our form tutor, so just to put a spanner in the works, so he was born in Belgium, speaks French, but lives in the UK and speaks English. So, and whenever he was in like the school, because it was excellent. Like he'd always try to like build like a really strong relationship with the students to get the students to respect him. So like, he'd give like all of our like form tutees like a nickname. So like mine would be like brand on, brand off. Like that little bit play on the words there. And so, I just forgot what I was about to say. I've literally just caught dementia.
I thought one thing we should say. I'm Dan, and this is Brandon and Chris. But
Oh fuck you guys! I want to talk about this Belgium story.
Oh, carry on, please.
Yeah, as I was saying, so he's always really fond of accents. So anytime it was like 33, because I think there's meant to, was it like 30 of us in the form? I can't remember. But he'd always like put on an Irish accent for like occasional words or different accents for occasional words. So when it came to like 33, he'd be like dirty tree, like a dirty tree. So he'd be like dirty tree, and then like just to add on that 0.3, it was like dirty tree and a turd. So like, yeah, so that just makes me think of, just recording. So like it's episode Dirty Tree. And then because we've done like 3 shitty recordings, so like Dirty Tree and a turd.
Our literal other recordings sounded like potatoes.
We were literally robots.
Well, the other 2 were robots and I was fine. And then I did one where I didn't exist. And then it went back to them being robots. And now hopefully it's all good.
You sure?
We'll find out when we're done.
We'll find out. Hopefully, it'll be like episode 33.4.
We've already recorded something and it sounds fine. So, well, you've already listened to that because that's just the intro. So, hopefully, This is all fine. This is how professional we are. Not much.
You know what? It's probably only because I've been binge watching it recently, but this sounds like the plot to a Red Dwarf episode, one where Dan disappears and we turn into robots.
Singularity is happening.
Yeah, the status quo is fine at the end of half an hour.
Well, hopefully our Tormented Souls will be saved with this recording.
That was fucking smooth, Dan.
But
smooth. Buttery smooth.
Isn't there a game called Tormented Souls that one of us has played? Isn't that right, Chris?
And I played a game called Tormented Souls, not a game called Tormented Souls. Yes. The phrase Tormented Souls kind of loses all meaning when you laugh over it, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Takes all the punch out of it.
I can just hear the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged I've forgotten Obelisk the Tormentor just going Torment. I knew Brandon would like that.
Yeah, so Chris, I've never actually heard of Tormented Souls, so I've literally just Googled it now, and I don't know if it's just me, but this is really giving me Resi vibes.
That's because it is basically a big love letter to the old school Resident Evil and Silent Hill games. So think fixed camera angles, very limited ammo, very little healing supplies, really good puzzles, top-notch puzzles that really make you think outside the box. I really, really like this game. Gameplay-wise, it really does feel like you're playing a PS1 Resident Evil. But it's got like modern-day controls. There's 2 ways you can control it. You can use like the D-pad, which will give you like old-school tank controls, if you want to play that way, or you can use the analog stick for a more sort of modern version feel for it. I can't place this game high enough. I had a blast playing it because I'm, as you may know, I fucking love Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and this gave me exactly what I wanted. It's really scratched that itch I've been after for so long for a proper survival horror game. I do have some negative criticism, but it may not affect how you feel about the games, because for me it's all about the gameplay. But okay, let's get this over and done with. The plot's crap. The plot is very bare bones and straightforward. Yeah, there's no real surprises. It plays up like there is a surprise, but when it happens, it's like everyone and their grandmothers and their Belgian teachers were like, "Oh yeah, I know, that's what's happening." That's the twist. There's that, and the character model, especially like the main character, not in game. In game looks fine, but during cutscenes looks too cartoony. She looks like she's got too much of an anime face going on.
Really?
Where everything else is like looks realistic. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't know why. It looks like her eyes are too big and too cartoony. Because everything else in this game, let's say, kind of looks. If a closest approximation, like the Resident Evil remake on GameCube, graphically it looks like that. So like hyper realistic backgrounds, like pre-rendered ones, I believe they are. And then obviously all the enemies look pretty decent as well. They kind of remind me more of Silent Hill monsters, because they're like sort of utilize the whole being in wheelchairs, being in stirrups. The whole game takes place in a hospital.
Have the actual enemies got like names? You know, like from Silent Hill and stuff, you've got Pyramid Head. Like, have they got actual like names of what they are?
They do, but I'll be damned if I can remember what they were.
Oh, well, they're not like sort of what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I called all of them.
I just saw this guy like strapped up in like metal chains. He's got like a shark coming out of his belly. I'm just like, huh?
I've just googled it. I'm just seeing the GIF of a guy in like a wheelchair just wildly swinging knives at the woman. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's like your basic enemy, right?
I've added it to my wish list on Switch, so if it does come on sale, I might actually get it, unless it's cheaper on PS4. But I might actually give it a go.
I believe currently on PS4 the standard price is £15, so it's not very expensive. I got it for £8 because it was like half price on sale.
Yeah, I'll wait till it's on sale.
Yeah.
No rush.
I think the game took me about 8 hours to beat first time round, give or take. But I'm one of these people who will go around the same room over and over again, like hammering X on everything to try and find everything. And it's a good job I do, because supplies are very short supply. By the time I finished the game, I not quite ran out of ammo. I kind of ran out of ammo for like my two strongest weapons, but I still had a fair bit for like the standard pistol equivalent. But it was coming a bit close to the knuckle, and I only had like a couple of healing supplies left. So yeah, you do tend to backtrack in this game a lot though. But it's not like egregious if you know what you're doing. Like I can see people speedrunning this. But yeah. To give it like that Silent Hill sort of angle as well. There's parts where you essentially like go into what is the other world, like Silent Hill does. But they're all sort of self-contained. It doesn't feel like you're retreading the same map again. It's kind of like you've gone somewhere else, and they're all like their own little bubbles, just like a couple of rooms. So it's not like, oh Christ, I've got to go through the whole place again, but in reverse kind of thing. You don't get that.
To me, it looks more like Resi 4, in some of the screenshots.
I suppose. I'd say it looks more like the remake just because of the fixed cameras. But...
Oh yeah, I think it probably looks like many things, but you know what I mean. But well, you say remake, but Resi 4 and remake were very made at pretty much the same time because they're both on GameCube.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is on PC that it's got some kind of first-person or over-the-shoulder mod.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised either.
I imagine it worked like that. I'm surprised it's not an option to do that in the base game, actually, make it more like Resi 4. But hey, I don't think that's what I was going for. They really were going for a throwback. And fair play to them, because they nailed it. And I say they nailed it because the first gun is like a nail gun, so there's a shit joke there somewhere.
Say that.
Yeah, great game. Highly recommend, and it's cheap. If you like Resi, you'll like Tormented Souls. It's as simple as that.
Nice.
Well,
isn't this like in terms of games recently? I've just been playing Free Houses more. I'm trying to like fully complete it. So in who knows how many episodes I'll be talking about that, but it's just been the usual. I haven't really played much. Not much new. It's just the same old things. I think one thing I did, I have played recently, which I haven't spoken about for a while, is a game called My Friendly Neighborhood. There's only a demo out at the moment, but it plays a little bit like BioShock, and the demo is about you're a night shift person, a security guard doing night shift in a kids TV show, which is like puppets and all that, and it's first person, so yeah, so it's like Sesame Street.
I was literally about to say, I looks like, is it Ert and Bernie? Like Sesame Street.
So you basically
Bernie,
like all the enemies are like sock puppets and like the puppets from like Sesame Street and stuff like that. Obviously, it's like their own things, but you're basically shooting them with guns that fire letters and that. So you get like a shotgun and it's just firing like big balls of letters at them, or like a pistol just firing singular letters. I'm assuming there'll be other weapons, but it's only the demo so far. It's definitely something I'm probably going to keep an eye on, but it's definitely it's definitely setting-wise very unique. And I think the setting's probably the thing that's interesting me the most. I think gameplay-wise, it's like BioShock, so it's not really anything new. But I enjoyed what I played.
see, I've always had it in my head canon that Big Bird is fully capable of going postal. So I guess this is just the outcome of that. This episode is brought to you for S for the word shotgun.
Like it's like when you like shoot the puppets, they'll like, be like, "But I'm your best friend." And
No, you're not.
Or they'll just like say random weird things like that, or like, "Oh, let's do your ABCs." It's kind of like frightening just having these puppets come at you. What's another thing is that you kind of don't kill them either, and the way it works is you got to tie them up. So you get them down, and once they're down on the ground, they're down while you're in that room. But if you leave the room, they'll get back up. So you have to tie them up, and then so that when you leave and then come back into the room, they're down. So that's something interesting. So it's very limited on resources, so you got to be aware of what you've got to use. But
Hang on a minute. You say you're tying them up, right? Have you not got confused between Sesame Street and S&M Street?
oh my gosh!
And also, if you do shoot them, these Muppets, what comes out of them? Like, are they full of confetti? Are they
I was
full
literally
of
think
Are
confetti.
they full of tinsel, glitter, or does like a sort of hand come out of them instead? A bit like a chest burster from Aliens. And you have to deal with that as well.
Well, not really anything comes out of them, funny enough. Oh, but from what I played, it seems an interesting game that I'm going to definitely keep an eye on.
Suitable for children, then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%.
Just like Tormented Souls.
I'll say it's got to be suitable for kids, because you've seen, like, from Poppy's Playtime, like you see Mr. Huggy Wuggy. Is that the same one, Mr. Huggy Wuggy, Poppy's Playtime? It is, isn't it?
No idea.
Probably.
But you see, like, Mr. Huggy Wuggy's just everywhere, like this massive, like, blue fairy thing, like these fangs everywhere, and the kids are like loving it. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if like My Friendly Neighborhood would turn out to be like kids' toys or something.
No idea. Like, I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm looking to. I'll probably get it when it actually comes out, whenever that is. Who knows? But yeah, that's My Friendly Neighborhood. Keep an eye on
nice.
it, I guess. But Chris, you've played another game, one that is very in tune with our podcast in terms of what
Yes, yeah, because it's called Blasphemous, and this podcast is nothing but blasphemy. Yeah, very much in tune. Yes, I'm pretty sure aware that a lot of people know what Blasphemous is now because it has been out for a little while. But recently I revisited it because it's finally had all its DLC released for it, and I must state that fair play for Team 17, who I'm surprised are still going, to be honest, for releasing all this DLC for free. They're just basically update patches, which is great.
Oh, wow.
So, so I thought I'd revisit it, and to be honest, there's a fair bit added. There's whole new areas, so if you're unfamiliar with what Blasphemous is, it is essentially a 2D Metroidvania with Souls-like combat. It's got equivalent to Estus Flask. It's got parrying in. It's all about the melee attacks. There are spells, but they're few and far between, and you gotta hunt for them. And most of your progression comes from exploration rather than experience. There is kind of an experience system, but it's more for buying the odd thing and getting some upgraded moves. So more like combos than anything. So they're not really necessary, but they're fun to pull off if you can. Because the combat in it feels very weighty and hefty, and it's, I suppose, like I said a while back, Mega Man 11, it's got really good feedback. It's with the little rumble, it feels like you feel every connection to every hit you make, and same if you get hit as well. But the most standout thing about Blasphemous is its art. It's pixel art and it looks stunning. It looks great in pictures and it looks even better in motion. The attention to detail and everything is phenomenal. It's one of the best.
Great.
It's one of the best looking games I've played. And I'm a sucker for pixel art. That's my favourite kind. You can keep your realistic graphics. I'd much rather stare at pixel art. This is top notch. It looks amazing.
It does.
No,
carry on.
I was going to say, in regards to the extra content it's added, there's several new areas. There's several more bosses, and they're prime for more end game. So you're going to need your stats before you take them on. And it's added a few more things to, I think, make the main game a bit easier. It's put in a couple of extra healing potions that you keep permanently, and a couple of extra upgrades. So a few more things to unlock, a few more things to play with. And there was plenty to play with to begin with. So, yeah, if you can get Blasphemous, and it's now got the submoniker of Wounds of Eventide, highly, highly, highly recommend it. There's not really a bad thing I can say about it. There's no bullshit. Every death's your fault. The platforming's tight. The combat's tight. And there is a sort of difficulty setting, so you can make it a little bit easier if you do struggle. But I'd actually advise against that, because when you beat down a boss using really skilled platforming and combat, it feels so satisfying. But what are you going to say then?
Well, as both of you know, I listen to quite a few podcasts, and a lot of them are video game podcasts, and it feels very right that finally our podcast has spoken about Blasphemous, because it seems every video game podcast I listen to, at some point, they speak about Blasphemous. It just seems this game that every podcast I listen to just has to talk about it to some degree, and it's always positives. Well, there's some negatives about it, but generally it's always positive, and it's just quite fitting that finally we've spoken about it on this podcast.
Well, I suppose we're a proper podcast now. We've mentioned it.
Wait, we weren't before?
I don't know.
I don't know, were we?
I don't know. We'll just fuck around, don't we?
But yeah, it's definitely a game that I want to check out at some point. It, as you were saying, the pixel art is just absolutely amazing. It just
Yeah, I recommend it to anyone. If you're a fan of the Castlevania games or the Metroidvania games or the Dark Souls are all free, which you should be. Then yeah, it's joy in in pixel form.
But Brandon, you actually did play a game as well, didn't you?
Well, I didn't actually play it, but I've been watching quite a few YouTubers play it, and I've been watching people play it. Has made me really want to play it. And again, on the topic of horror, and it's a game called the Mortuary Assistant. And so this is about you're a lady, and you've started recently getting a job at a mortuary, and basically the game is you're covering a night shift at the mortuary, but the owner's like, I'm sorry, I can't be there with you. Only you can do this because the possession has started. You need to sort this. Because what the whole concept is, you're working in a mortuary and there's a demon which is basically possessing the mortuary, and it's steadily sort of possessing you. And the way you find out how far the possession is, like, you're given like a few items, like you're given there's like a little closet at the back which will have like runes in it. It will have like burning like talisman related things, and you'll be given like a post-it note and a pencil. And what you're meant to do is like every now and then you just grab the post-it note and and the pencil, just do like a quick draw, and depending on how far in your possession is depends on how weird your scribble becomes. So what starts off as like you maybe just doing like an actual scribble will then start to turn to a circle, and then it'll start to turn to like a demonic logo. So that's how you know how far along the game you are. And the only way to stop the demon's possession and to destroy the demon is you need to find out the name of the demon, the house the demon belongs to, and the body in the morgue which the demon is possessing and working from. And the way you do that is you have to inspect like a few cadavers. You go through the actual day-to-day job, go up to the cadaver, put like the coins on the eyes, close the eyes, like sew the mouth shut, drain the body of like blood, put in like embalming fluid and whatnot. And then like you come to like inspect the body. So you're like looking for like demonic like things on the body. Every now and then when you burn your talisman, one of the letters of the name of the demon might appear, which you need to go like looking around the room for. And the cutscenes in it and the jump scares are phenomenal. So like, if you go into Google right now and just type in the Mortuary Assistant and just look at some of the screenshots of the demon or some of the possession things that go on, it's terrifying. Like, I'd say in terms of like recent horror games, there's not really been many which can actually make you feel uneasy if you're actually playing it in the dark. And I think the Mortuary Assistant does a fantastic job at that. Like atmospherically, the jump scares are not predictable. Like some games, like the jump scares get really ridiculous. Like with like, oh, they'll try to scare you like a super loud noise or something. In the Mortuary Assistant, they're really subtle. So it could be like, oh, you're starting to like drain the body, and then in the corner of your screen, you might see like a face just pop out from behind a cupboard and then hide behind you. Like, what the fuck was that? Or you could be like, doing something on the body, and then the body will start talking to you, and you're just like, oh, shut up. Just things like that. It's not stuff which it's like stupid jump scares, like they're like loud noises, banging and stuff. They're really subtle. They're very well done. And some of the jump scares actually sort of start to develop a story. So like, I think one of them is like your mother starts talking to you, be like, Jessica, you're a failure. You shouldn't have done this. And then it gradually becomes like a more demonic voice. You're like, whoa, yeah, it's really, really cool. Highly recommend you check out the playthroughs of it. So like Jacksepticeye's played it, Markiplier's played it, Jack's girlfriend has played it as well. They're absolutely phenomenal. Like, go watch them, play the game you want to. Highly recommend it if you want a good, short, indie, scary game. It was actually developed by just one guy. Like, one guy did like all the programming of the game, the design of the games and everything. So, yeah, highly recommend it.
What is
Neat.
it? Do you know... Sorry, Chris. Have you heard of the game The Closing Shift?
Closing Shift? No, let's have a look.
It sounds a little bit like that. The Closing Shift is a horror game where you're an employer at basically a Starbucks, and you've got someone hunting you. It just sounds a little bit like that, to a certain degree.
The Japanese horror game. Is this it? Let's have a look. Closing Shift looks like Japanese. Oh wow, that's some ray tracing. But yeah, it's like that sort of a thing. It's just like, imagine that, but you're working in a morgue, basically.
You know what? This is like the fifth horror game we've talked about in a row. I think we've got a Halloween episode early. And who knows, if we have to re-record this, maybe this will end up being Halloween.
I'll say, because the actual recording of this episode has been spooky as is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I was going to try and we'll go like the Stranger Things thing, but for some reason I went straight into do-do-do-do. That's it. Here's a challenge. Try do the Stranger Themes song, but while constantly thinking of that. I bet you can't.
Now my friends are heaves. I mean, what? I actually saw a clip of 21 Pilots where they opened up with the Stranger Things theme song. I don't know if they opened up, but they played the Stranger Things theme song, then went into Heathens, and I was like, you know what? That actually sounds really good. Yeah, I don't know why this episode is spooky as if, but yeah. Well, you said about horror games. You got Tormented Souls, Mortuary Assistant, and My Friendly Neighborhood, all horror games.
Oh, Blasphemous as well to a degree.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. All basically horror games. Yeah.
I mean, half roasted chicken is basically horror.
That was freaking terrifying, like the dinosaur they put on the plate. But I was going to say, should we? I was going to say, should we wrap up the horror themes before we move on to the actual meat and butter thing? Like, you've watched something creepy, haven't you, Chris? Well, supposedly creepy.
I have. So to move on from some horror films, horror games onto a horror film, let's keep with it. I watched a new Prey, which I would have said originally came out a couple of days ago, and I suppose it is, but seeing as this is a re-recording, it came out a week ago now. So yeah, Prey it's dubbed as a sequel to Predator, but it's kind of more of a prequel, but then again, it's kind of self-contained. So this version of Predator takes place in the 1700s, and it's essentially about a tribe of hunters using primitive weaponry, who basically hunt your regular stuff like your deer, your lions, that kind of stuff. And then the actual predator turns up to join the fray. He fancies a bit of the action. So honestly, plot-wise, that's pretty much it. It's very stripped back. There's no fat on this film at all. It's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin, like pretty much how I've described it. If you want to see the Predator fight people with pointy sticks, then yeah, this is the film for you. It is definitely the best Predator sequel going, but there's not really much competition, really. Apart from Predator 2, I've got a soft spot for Predator 2. So I quite like that one. The urban setting, and Danny Glover does a great job. But this film's really good. It's well written. It's strong. The action's good. Everything feels in place. There's nothing there that I feel could have been cut out. And it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, give or take. So it's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Even the lines it does throw in, like it's not really spoiled. One of the lines one of the characters says is like, "Oh, if it bleeds, we can kill it," which is a line from the first film. It in the situation it arises in, it feels completely natural. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like no, that's probably something you'd say in that scenario. So that was well done. It didn't feel cheesy. I didn't like eye roll or anything, which is what I tend to do when that happens. So yeah, just look at like some of the Resident Evil films for evidence of that. Yeah, Prey. I do highly recommend it. It is pretty solid. If you just want a no-nonsense horror film with some good action in it, then yeah, Prey will deliver.
Nice.
You should pray upon it.
Pray for me.
That's a corn track.
It is a corn track.
Yay.
I do want to actually watch it. I've not. This is a bad thing to say. I've never watched any of the Predator films.
You've not even seen like the original Predator film?
No. I've literally.
Even Brandon's seen Predator.
I've got it on my shelf and I've not watched it.
Right, to make this this actually puts me I've got a bragging rights here because I've seen Predator, I've seen Predators, I've seen one of the. I think there's wasn't there 3 Predator films? Like Predator, Predators. Wasn't there another one?
See Predator 2 from back in the day.
Oh yeah, so Predator, Predator 2, Predators. I've seen Alien vs Predator, Alien vs Predator 2, and then so I'm also still yet to watch Prey.
I think there is another one, but I've completely forgotten what it is. I think it might just be called Predator, and that's why it's confusing.
That's probably
I type in Predator films to see what comes up.
Yeah,
but
basically, you got Predators, Predator 2, The Predator, Prey. So Predator, Predator 2, Predators, The Predator, Prey. Yeah, 5 films.
Yeah. And I must point out, this Prey film should not be confused with Prey from 2019, Prey from 2017, Prey from 2008, or indeed the game Prey, the first-person shooter game, or indeed the first-person shooter game called Prey. Don't get confused.
I'm not confused at all.
Make sure you read that right. Make sure that when you read Prey, you get the right Prey.
Yeah, make sure it's capitalised, it's spelt with an E and not an A, and you should be fine. I can't see them being any
otherwise
problems.
You'll end up playing Prey or watching Prey when really you want to be watching Prey.
Yeah, just simply Google Prey and there'll be absolutely no confusion whatsoever.
Yeah, otherwise you'll find the
half-roasted chicken on your film.
No, you'll find probably a very blasphemous game where you're probably praying all the time. I don't know.
Praying for your tormented soul.
Who knows? A prey simulator? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move very, very far from this. Let's move so far away. We're going light years now.
Oh! Here we go.
You like that transition, didn't you?
Yeah.
So Dan's mentioned this before a few episodes ago, but I've also watched the film Lightyear now because it's come to Disney Plus. And yeah, it's certainly a film. It's entertaining. It'll keep the kids quiet for a bit, hopefully, unless your kids are little shits. I like this film. But it's just fine. It's serviceable. It's not groundbreaking for something where the premise is like to infinity and beyond. The whole film takes place on one planet, so it's kind of feels like they're missing the whole beyond part and infinity part, to be honest with you. But the plot itself is fairly straightforward. Got some good little action scenes. It's got a few funny bits in it. I don't know, it's missing a lot though. It could have been so much more. It feels like it's missing some bigger set pieces. It could have gone so much further. It could have gone beyond. It didn't. It felt like it played it a bit too safe.
You know what I meant though. Now you see it. You know what I meant, where it kind of like had some hints and nods to like the first 2 films, where it's like, the bit in the second film where Zurg is like, "I am your father," doing like the Star Wars Darth Vader scene. Although he doesn't says it. I can't remember if he says it wrong, and it's like the Mandela effect where everyone thinks it's "I am your father," where it's actually "No, I am your father." But it's like even like that when Buzz meets Zurg, and then you find out who Zurg is. It's like, and he goes, "Father." It's like, oh, that's a hint and nod to the second film. And I think there was something else to like the first one. I now literally can't remember it, but there's definitely like a few hint and nods to like each of them. And like the spacecraft at the end is the spacecraft at the end is the one is the like the box that Buzz comes in Toy Story.
Yeah, there's that. Like some of the lines he said is like verbatim from the first 2 films. Like especially there's a couple of scenes where he's talking to himself on the intercom. I think he says the lines like, "Oh, there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere." That kind of. But that again felt a bit more like eye rolling, unlike Prey. Felt like, oh, they really crowbarred that in. It's like, I don't know if this is like Andy's favourite film and this shifted tons of toys. Andy's got a questionable taste in films, really. I think he ought to watch Prey instead and not Prey. That'll blow his mind.
I thought it was okay for what it was, but
it was that was it. It was okay, and I suppose that's the problem because it could have been way better.
Mm.
But It didn't soar to the sky. It just fell with style.
Well, I actually watched something on Disney Plus.
Holy cow!
That
You watched a Holy Cow on Disney Plus?
No, I said that. No. Well, maybe Brandon did. I don't know what. Holy cow! You might have. What's it from? What, like Disney films? Was it On the Range? That's probably what Brandon watched. But was it Home on the Range? That's what I think it's called. I probably.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. That's a half roasted film. That
Yeah.
No, it's because I typed in "pray" and it came up with like a holy cow praying.
Right. Oh my gosh! But I watched something. I watched something on Disney Plus. I watched it all on my lunch break at work. It is I Am Groot.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that because I've been rewatching the Marvel films just because when I watched Infinity War and everything and Endgame, I was like, I need to go back and rewatch some of these. But yeah, as you're saying,
we'll get into that in a second because there's a
Yeah.
lot to unpack there, which is the main theme of our episode. But yes, I watched all of I Am Groot. It was alright.
it's all right. Nothing special about it.
Not really.
I watched all of Am Groot too.
It was exactly what you expected it to be, and I was like, cool. Anyway, I just moved on. I think if I was like a kid again, I would have gone whole ham rewatching this. I think I probably would, but I watched it. Was like, all right, move on. I don't think I'm the audience for it. I was like,
It is for very small children.
Yeah.
It's for infants.
Yeah. I'm definitely not the target audience. I enjoyed what I watched. I finished it and I was like, yep, don't think I'm ever going to rewatch this. Yeah, it was not really for me. I enjoyed what it was, but I think I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think I like all of them equally, and when I think one of them's got more screen time, it's like, well, I don't really enjoy this character as much on their own when they're with everyone else. And I think that's how I kind of felt a bit with I Am Groot. I was like, I like Groot. Well, Baby Groot's very endearing, but his little adventures are, they're fine. But if I had to rewatch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or I Am Groot, I'd happily watch Guardians 400 times and watch I Am Groot once.
I imagine Am Groot will be a lot more fun to watch if you were very, very drunk or high.
Yeah, all had little kids.
I am stoned.
Oh, I might have to just clip that and just send it my mate because that'd be well funny.
So here's the thing, like what they said like initially is like all the Groots are going to be like 5-minute shorts. Well, technically they are, except they're only like 2.5 minutes because you've got like 30 seconds of intro, and then you got like 2 minutes of credits. It's like it's like blink and you miss it.
Ridiculous. It's like I think the last episode was the best one. I also didn't really know, except for the first episode and the last episode, the three in the middle. I didn't know which was the second, third, or fourth episode. Like I could have found it out on Wikipedia, but just on Disney Plus, because each short is its own individual thing. It's not in like a whole. It doesn't group them all as a season, which is really weird. I don't.
It's really annoying as well because they're not like. I was struggling to like find each episode, like make sure I've seen every one because they're just like individual. It's like, is that it? Because it's just like showing me the same one again. Is it?
But so you knew which was the first one, and I assumed the one that is the only one that has another Guardian of the Galaxy was the final one. Apart from those two, I didn't know which was episode 2, 3, and 4. But
no idea.
Episode 1 was obvious, and I think episode 5 seemed what I watched as I thought was episode 5 seemed like episode 5.
I'll tell you what, for something that's aimed at very small children, that bit where he accidentally steps on like the small civilization, I just thought for a moment, oh, that went fucking dark.
Yeah. but then it turns out they're all okay anyway. But yeah, it's just like, whoa.
The thing is, kids would find that funny though.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it is targeted towards, like just pre-teens who like a gateway into it, because a lot of the time you see kids walking around like, like when Mandalorian came out, all the kids were holding on to Groot. You had like when Guardians was about, the kids were always going on about Groot, and like they'd always see kids like wearing Groot like t-shirts and stuff.
You know, I can't remember which episode it was. It might have been the second. No, it's one of the second, third, or fourth episodes of Am Groot where he has the alien that copies him.
Mm.
When I watched that, I just had in my mind the temple theme from Zelda 2, because the final boss is Dark Link. I was just like, hey, look, it's Dark Groot. Well, he's not dark, but it's just like that. So it's just like do 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 do, because he starts dancing with it. It's just like, oh, look, just play that. It'd be near enough the same thing, and then just have the weird Link animation where he just gets hurt and he just like calls up.
You know why they really made this series? It's because they've got a load of plush baby Groot dolls from Guardians 2 left over, and they need a second wave to get rid of them.
Yeah, it does seem to be like just an IP advert, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, he's grown up in the main series now, so he's not going to fit in.
Hopefully, I really hope in Guardians 3 he is the like adult Groot again. I don't mind like him growing up, but I think for Guardians 3, I would like him to be full-grown Groot again.
Well, you mean older Groot, or do you mean like actual adult Groot now?
Like,
so like in the original Guardians, he was somewhat middle-aged Groot, wasn't he?
I want him to look exactly like he did in Guardians 1.
Because I like the idea. I mean, the concept of you now got baby Groot and then it turns into teenage Groot. But I was just like teenage Groot is just annoying. Like I didn't feel as emotionally attached to teenage Groot as I did baby Groot or like normal Groot. I don't know what it was. It just yeah.
He's a teenager. His rebellious phase.
Yeah, it's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just didn't seem as emotionally attached at that phase as I did the others.
Well, obviously you see him we see how he looks in Love and Thunder, but the next time we see him is at Christmas in the Guardians Holiday Special, and then hopefully in Guardians 3 he is. I'm fingers crossed he's back to how he looks in Guardians 1, but we'll see what happens. Maybe James Gunn isn't doing that, and he'll look at completely different, or he'll look a little bit older than he does. But I'd like it would feel right if he looked exactly like he does in Guardians 1. Well, maybe not exactly, but you know what I mean. Like the same like figure, I guess. I guess he is technically a different character to some degree, but not really. Yeah.
What is the betting in the Halloween, the holiday special, that they're going to cover Groot up in tinsel and baubles and maybe put Rocket on the top as some kind of star?
I can quite easily see Groot getting wrapped up in lights by accident or something.
Oh,
it's going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I have no idea what they're going to do. I think, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll randomly bring in a new character and be like, yeah, that they're going to be in this one thing, and just do a Boba Fett or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and they can have the traditional holiday meal of a half-roasted chicken.
Yeah. Is that right, Brandon?
As long as it's half roasted and not half of it roasted.
Depends how carried away Rocket gets with his flamethrower, I suppose.
Well,
right. Oh,
I guess well, do we want to go straight into the topic, the MCU? Or I do have one last thing to talk about, but otherwise...
Go for it, we'll do that.
We'll
do your topic first.
Look back, and then we'll go into the MCU. Maybe it would have been better speaking about look back a little bit earlier from going to Am Groot, but oh well. So, a while back, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I read a manga called Look Back. This manga is by Tatsuki Fujimoto. If who is the Chainsaw Man author, and as Brandon knows, I'm a massive fan of Chainsaw Man.
It's not called a fan; it's called a simp.
Yeah,
Can we get the grammar right? Simp.
Yeah, I am a bit of a simp for Chainsaw Man, and I guess the reasons why I love Chainsaw Man are completely on display in Look Back. So Look Back is a one-shot manga that Tatsuki Fujimoto wrote. It's about two girls who draw manga, and one's a bit shy and one's a bit more, I wouldn't say outgoing, but she like goes to school. The shy one is like a shut-in, doesn't really go to school. I can't remember. Because it's been about a month or so since I read it. I can't remember what was the reason she doesn't go to school. But they when they're young, they kind of have this weird rivalry because they both draw manga and they put it into their school paper. And the main character, she doesn't think her manga is as good as the shut-in one, but then the shut-in girl, she really adores the main girl's manga, and so there's this rivalry but admiration. And then once they finally meet, they decide to like do a manga together, and it's nice because they kind of inspire each other, and it's like really inspiring. But that's about, I guess, maybe the first third of the manga, and where it goes in the last 2/3 is like the same reasons why I love Chainsaw Man, and it's why I need to at some point read Tatsuki Fujimoto's first manga, Fire Punch, because he can really write these really human moments of like sometimes bleakness, but sometimes pure, I don't know, aspirations, and it's just really profound, these moments of humanity. And it's why I love Chainsaw Man, because for all Chainsaw Man is, like, the latest trailer for the anime came out as of time recording last week, and it looks incredible, and it's just full-blown action from like near enough start to finish, that trailer, and that's cool and all, but it's those human moments of why I can't wait to watch this anime. I can't wait to see the main character in Chainsaw Man want these human connections and these human moments. As much as I'm looking forward to seeing all the action, it's those things that are why I really relate to Chainsaw Man, and I related to Look Back as well. And it's both mangas are so good. When I read Look Back, I was in the perfect situation. It took me about 25-30 minutes to read. I sat down at my PC, loaded up the manga, put some rain music on, and just read. When I finished reading the one shot, I sat, thought about what I read. I had a few tears down my face, and I went bed, and it was an amazing experience.
So what?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so, because obviously he's done Fire Punch and he's actively doing Chainsaw Man. Does it not seem like, because it's so wildly different, like it's like, do you feel like it's sort of like an ode to another like sort of inner personality he's got? Because obviously he's done like 2 violent manga series, and then he's got like this sort of gentler, more psychological one. Do you feel like it's interesting just to see like the complete genre change?
Yeah, I love that it's something completely different. I love that it's like a different side to his writing, and he's like showing that although he's written Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man, and especially how dark Chainsaw Man can be, and how I'm still to this day surprised it was in Shonen Jump. It's interesting to see him look back and just be like, this is a really cool side to him as a writer and an author that I didn't expect to see. And like I said, it's one of those mangas that it's cool to see. It's not just manga. This is just anything, like director or of a film or anything, like games or what. When they do something different and somehow it still feels like them, but it could be a complete genre shift, and it's a bit initially a bit polarizing, but then you're like, it's actually not. It feels perfectly in tune with what they've written before. It just initially doesn't seem like that. Yeah, I absolutely love Look Back, and I cannot wait for Chainsaw Man. And yeah. But I guess getting on to the meat of our podcast.
Why'd you have to say meat?
the chicken of the poultry of our of our podcast. We thought we would talk about the MCU because recently Disney or Marvel Studios released their slate of not complete slate, but mostly complete slate for the Multiverse saga, which is phase 4 to 6. Obviously, phase 4 is nearly coming to a close, but they released most of phase 5 and they've started revealing phase 6 as well.
So
yeah.
I was about to say, so as I recently also watched Thor: Love and Thunder, and on the original recording, I was just like, these two guys were like, Brandon, you do realize we spoke about this for like the past 2 episodes? And I was like, because most of it was just me banging on about continuity. But on a side note, I've been rewatching the Marvel films because I had to speed run to actually watch Thor: Love and Thunder in cinema. I skipped over ones like Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and everything. And then as I was watching like the Avengers, like Infinity War and Endgame, I was just like, who the fuck are you? Where are you from? Why are you best friends with this guy? Like So I was like, I've just started to rewatch the Marvel films. So I've rewatched Captain America and Captain Marvel so far, just to try and sort of patch the gaps in my knowledge.
So how many have you watched now, Brandon?
I'm just loading it up now, all the ones. So I think I'm glad I'm on double figures now. So I've seen Captain America, seen Captain Marvel, seen Iron Man, seen Iron Man 2, seen Hulk, seen Thor, seen Avengers, Dark World, Iron Man 3, Winter Soldier, Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Ultron, Ant-Man, Civil War, Black Widow I saw. And then this is where I start to miss out. So I've not seen any of the Spider-Man ones. I've not seen Black Panther. I've not seen Doctor Strange, but I have seen Ragnarok. I haven't seen Ant-Man and Wasp. And then obviously I haven't watched Loki. I've not seen What If. I've not seen WandaVision. I've not seen Shang-Chi. I've not seen Falcon Winter Soldier. Yeah, and so that's where it starts to all go wrong, is from there onwards.
So you still got quite a bit left to watch, but you've watched maybe the majority of the Infinity Saga now.
Yeah, pretty much. I've still got the bits, like, just to patch up, like, the bits of lost knowledge. But yeah, I'm enjoying them. Like, every film, is a banger. Well, arguably, but some of them are not. But hey ho.
Mm-hmm. Well, should we get into what's been announced for phase 5 and 6, I guess?
Go for it, because I know nothing.
Let me just... So, obviously, phase 4 right now, we've only got... we've still got... As of time recording, we have She-Hulk, which comes out as of time recording, is it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it's Thursday. I think.
Yeah, sometime next week.
And then we have Black Panther that comes out end of the year. I'm not going to look at that website because that did not have the right thing already. Oh my gosh, not even found it. So we've still got 2 things left of Phase 4. I guess, like, so far, how do you guys feel about Phase 4? I guess it's more Chris who's more up to date. I know you've seen, like, Black Widow and some stuff of Phase 4.
Yeah, I've seen Black Widow and Thor.
I've seen all of it multiple times. The only thing I still yet to watch is Captain Marvel. And that's only because it's the first time of any Marvel property, like in the MCU, that I've felt like I have to watch it, not because I necessarily want to, but because I'm going to have to in order to keep up. And I've never felt like that with any other property in the MCU so far.
Why Captain Marvel?
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
I was going to say, because I typed in Captain Marvel, I was like, what the fuck?
No, I like Captain Marvel, despite what people say. But most of the people who poo-poo Captain Marvel are the same people as don't like female superheroes because they've got issues.
Yeah, they've got issues.
Yeah, to put it lightly. See, Phase 4 is a bit of a weird one because it's more like it feels like overall the stakes have lowered somewhat because it's like everyone's reeling from Infinity War. It's more. It's like an episode of a series, like after you've had like the really serious one, and then you just like take an episode to sort of have a breather. Like take the episode Fly from Breaking Bad after some really heavy shit went down, so they sort of had almost a comedic episode, like smack bang halfway through the series, to sort of say, I think everyone needs to take 5 for like for a couple of films. So I say it's not had its stakes, it has, but everything feels more scaled back. So yeah, it's more like a phase of like picking up the pieces, and then the later half is starting to set up Phase 5. Of course, the actual start of Phase 5, which is like Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, is going to introduce our next big villain.
Yeah, I was curious about who the next villain's going to be because, Thanos, it was like a genuine threat. So I'm looking forward to see, like, are they... Because quite often when I've watched Marvel films, the villains don't really act like a genuine threat because you've always got that, hero's going to be the big bad. But then when it came to like Infinity War and Endgame, you actually felt some of the heroes were vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, the good thing with Thanos is he's been built up since day one. So
I didn't realise that because obviously I rewatched Captain America, and then it came to Captain Marvel, and then as I was watching Captain Marvel, I was like, I didn't know you. And then it was like, oh, it's Ronan. I was like, holy shit.
Mm. Yeah. So there's I don't know. I don't know if this might be my least favourite phase so far because some of the series haven't really grabbed me all that much. They've been fine, like the TV series have been fine, but I don't think they've been absolutely stellar. The best one by far, series-wise, has been Hawkeye. Although I really did like Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. Thought they were pretty good. But the rest have fallen a bit flat for me. Like Moon Knight, I wasn't particularly fond of, sadly. Which made me sad, to be honest, because that's like the first one I've watched. I was like, oh, I didn't really care for that, and I wanted to. It didn't really tickle my boxes. But movie-wise, yeah, they've all been fine. By a large margin, No Way Home was the best film out of the lot. For me, followed by Multiverse of Madness. I really like that film. What about you guys?
I've only seen Black Widow and Thor: Love and Thunder, and both of them, I'm just like, well, they exist, innit? Because as I said, Love and Thunder, I liked the villain in Love and Thunder. In terms of like design, he looked amazing, but it's just like a lot of just the problems within the film, and then setting up, Hercules. I was like, and like I didn't feel it. It just I was waiting for that 80s vibe to come through, and it just didn't. Like everything that happened in Love and Thunder was just average, and then same thing for Black Widow. It just felt. I mean, it's nice to have brought in the female heroes, like really, really good, but it's just hard because you've got the other MCU films which exist, so you're using those as like a baseline to compare. Black Widow just didn't seem to match up. I don't know if it's just me.
Black Widow, I think, would have made a bigger impact if it actually came out when it was initially meant to, because it's got delayed massively. But yeah, I always try and see all the Marvel films as like part of a larger whole, because they are the more like sort of jigsaw pieces in a puzzle. It's like you got to put it all together. It's like you may have one film that's average, one film that's really great, but they're all working towards a bigger narrative, aren't they? Dan, what are your thoughts? You gone quiet?
Sorry, yawning. Fucking hell. That's what happens when you wake up early for work. You start yawning at this time of the day. But anyway, I think with Phase 4, I think that in a couple of years, I'm going to look back at Phase 4 and I'm going to like it more than I do now. I don't dislike Phase 4 right now, but as you say, it's kind of like picking up the pieces from Endgame, starting up things again, and I think it's been in a weird place. I think Phase 4's just been a bit of a weird mix of many things. Like, it's been trying new things, it's been trying to introduce new characters, it's been trying to like tie knots in terms of Endgame and also start building things up again. And I think some of it's worked, some of it hasn't, and it's just been a mix of things. And I think in a couple of years I'll look back and I think I'll like it more than I do now. I think I'll appreciate the building blocks it has. I think I have to hope I think like that. Maybe I won't, but I don't know. But that's how I feel. And as you're saying, No Way Home, easily best film of the lot in Phase 4. Well, who knows? Unless Black Panther's better, but I doubt it. I can't see it being better. But we'll see. And then for me, it was Shang-Chi. It was just I had such a blast watching it. It was one of those. It had a bit like a Guardians of the Galaxy feel, where I didn't really know much about Shang-Chi, and it was just an absolute blast to watch. And I'm hoping that there's still going to be stuff like that going forward, but I don't know. Like, the TV shows have been, I think, if I'm being critical, they've been okay. I think Hawkeye is easily the best, but some of them have been okay. Like, I think when I watched them, I probably enjoyed them more than I do now. I think when I think back, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think they're a bit low on the Marvel scale, but I think when I was watching them week by week, I probably enjoyed them more. But then, like, Hawkeye, I still really enjoy. I still think it was really good. And I'm hoping that there's still more stuff that's going to be on the same level as Hawkeye, which I believe there will. But we'll see what happens. We still got 2 things left of, well, technically 3 things. I think 3 things left of Phase 4. We've got She-Hulk, Wakanda Forever, and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So they're the last 3 things of Phase 4. And as you say, Phase 5 will begin with Ant-Man next year, bringing in Kang the Conqueror finally. Well, he appeared at the end of Loki, but he didn't have a name drop. But he'll be appearing in Quantumania.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm looking ahead at like what they've got for Phase 5 and Phase 6, and honestly, only like half of Phase 5 is really grabbing me. Mostly the films, like, I mean, something like Agatha, Coven of Chaos, and Ironheart. I can't say I'm really bothered about, but obviously, like Ant-Man, Guardians 3, Blade, Daredevil, and Captain America: New World Order. I'm all for that. They said good. But what I'm hoping is like that they're not like really good, and like the shows sort of drag it down.
Yeah, I like of the film wise, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians, Blade. I'm like all those three. I'm really looking forward to. TV shows. Realistically, it's kind of just Daredevil. I'll watch all the others, but I'm kind of not that bothered. I also forgot who Echo was. When we actually spoilers, when we did our bad recording of this, I said Echo was the character was Monica Rambeau, which is wrong. Echo is the character in Hawkeye. It's the woman in Hawkeye who's the deaf woman.
The deaf one, okay.
I got that wrong. So that's who she is. That's Echo.
Oh, good. She was all right in that series, so yeah. I'd like to see where that goes.
Yeah, she's got a TV show in Phase 5. So, I think there's things to look. I think there's going to be things to look forward to in Phase 5, but it's still a bit. I don't know. I'm wondering how much of stuff are going to bring other characters in, because right now I'm looking at the films and I'm like, I'm not really sure. It still feels very disconnected to a point. It feels like
it looks very Phase 4-ish, doesn't it?
Okay. I feel like this phase is going to be a bit different. I think not this phase. This saga is going to be different, where I think there's going to be loads of plots all moving towards the same thing, but a whole load of characters won't be meeting each other for ages. And with Phase 6, so far with Phase 6, they've announced 3 films, and they've announced that there's 2 unannounced films as well. So we know that at least there's 5 films in Phase 6. So the films so far, and there's also going to be TV shows, which there's been we have no knowledge of either. But the film so far that they've named is Fantastic Four, which they've said is not a origin story. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and Avengers: Secret Wars. And then, like I said, there's 2 unannounced films. I don't know where they're going to be, but we've also got them. So
I think it's like because like Secret Wars is going to be like the equivalent of like Endgame, give or take.
Well, I think both Kang and Secret Wars are kind of going to be similar things. And this is what with Secret Wars, they might be bringing in Doctor Doom. Because you've got Fantastic Four. I think the next big bad with Kang, either along with Kang or as well, will be Doctor Doom.
See, I'm just thinking ahead. Like, I know it's still like years off, but if they're going to do like a similar thing to like Endgame with like Secret Wars, like that being like the big one, of all the characters like they're introducing, and all the new ones have yet to come, it's like, how many of these characters are you going to feel are going to have proper weight to? Not well, I suppose the Endgame really. Like, who's going to be like leading the charge? Is it going to be like the Guardians? Is it going to be like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange? Will they still even be around by then? Like, well, because it's like you had like your Captain America, your Thor, and Iron Man were like the main ones, and then like everyone else is sort of like the supporting cast really. But how do you think it's going to pan out with this one? Like,
yeah, I do wonder who's going to take the step up. I don't know.
Yeah, you need some kind of leader, don't you?
You're still going to have a lot of existing characters. Well, I assume so. You still gonna have a lot of existing characters like Falcon or Captain America, I guess. But you're still gonna have Falcon. You're still gonna have the Winter Soldier. Obviously, Thor is still a character. You know, he's still gonna be around. They said at the end of Love and Thunder that he'll return as well. You know, you've got Doctor Strange. Maybe Scarlet Witch. We don't know. That's still undecided. We don't.
You reckon Loki will step right up?
Oh yeah, Loki will be coming.
He'll lead the charge, or
I don't know if Loki's going to lead the charge, but I'd assume that Loki will be back. You know, they'll still. That's the thing. There will still be more Thor and Loki, and that's what's absolutely ridiculous. That there will still be more of that. Well, I have to assume so.
Loki, or more likely Tom Hiddleston's far too marketable to get rid of. They're going to keep him around for the longest time.
And then you still got Captain Marvel. You still got Ant-Man for now. Who knows about the Guardians? There's been rumors that at least one of them is going to die in Volume 3, but we'll see what happens. Maybe not. Who knows? You know, there's still a lot of characters that are still about. Even Spider-Man. I don't know what's kind of going on, but, you know, Spider-Man's still a thing. So, you know, there's still a lot of characters out and about that will still be there. Like, even Hulk. We still got Mark Ruffalo. He's still there. You have Hulk, She-Hulk. You have Fantastic Four. I think there'll still be enough, but I think we also have to acknowledge it's not going to be on the same level as Infinity War and Endgame. It just cannot be.
I just wonder when it rolls around about how many the surviving characters, like how much do I actually care about?
I don't know. I think you just have to hope that they can still keep the threat feeling real.
Yeah, they really need to.
I think when it wants to be, Marvel can be very. They can get rid of the plot armor and be like that, but sometimes it is difficult for them because, you know, at the end of the day, it's still, I don't want to say for kids, but, you know, it's still not. There is a family friendly vibe to a certain extent, you know. To just kill off all your main characters, it's not really marketable, or there's no longevity to it. So it's in like the big films where it's all going to come down. Where if any character's going to die, it's going to be those films.
I've got to be honest, I'm looking at some of the shows in Phase 5. I'm just thinking, can we just skip this and just get to Secret Wars quicker? We have to.
Yeah, I think Secret Wars is going to be interesting because they could really we could have Venom's, or the black suit Spider-Man in Secret Wars.
True.
Who?
True.
Oh, true. I thought you said who. I was like, Spider-Man. Peter Parker. But yeah, because in the original Secret Wars, that's how he gets the black suit. In the original comic. And, you know, he's still got Deadpool. Deadpool's still a thing.
Deadpool's got to come over.
Deadpool in, you know?
I think Deadpool's going to lead the charge.
Oh, yeah, Deadpool.
No, it's going to be Morbius. If you're bringing Spider-Man into it, it's got to be Morbius.
No.
What, the Sandman?
What? Oh, well, I suppose we could bring... We could bring Flint into it as well. Why not? Fuck it.
No. Morbius, the Sandman from the Sandman. the cool Morbius, not the vampire.
Oh, right. I'm completely unfamiliar with that character. I know who the Sandman is.
No,
Spider-Man 3.
Sandman's just come on to Netflix. I'm gonna
different show. I'm thinking of the other Sandman, not to be confused with Sandman.
I felt really stupid this week because I went
only this week.
Many times, but I was talking to my mate and I was like, "No, the comic series, The Sandman. I don't know why, but I didn't realize that the main character wasn't called the Sandman. For some reason, I thought he was called the Sandman, but he's not. He's called Morpheus. It's like he is the Sandman because he's like the ruler of dreams and that. So he's the Sandman, but that's not his name. And for some reason, I thought his name was the Sandman, and I was like, no, his title is he's the Sandman.
All his mail is addressed to Mr. Man.
Mr. Sandman. Give
me a dream.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I was like, I don't know why I thought that. Yeah. That's a series I want to watch at some point. But
yeah, in conclusion, bring back Sandman from Spider-Man 3. Sequel was.
Did.
Go on. I'll bring him back again.
Bring him back again.
again. Okay, let's do No Way Home again. Just put Secret Wars. Just blue tack that title on the end.
Just do Kraven's Last Hunt. That's what I want.
Oh, Kraven Hunter, yeah. It's he's a character that I've heard of.
Oh, that's what I want. I want Kraven Hunter.
Isn't he meant to be in it at some point? I'm sure they've announced that he's going to be in it in some capacity.
I think Sony have announced something, but it's Sony, so I'm kind of
really
caring.
Let's see.
What they've done
what's his tagline going to be? It's craving time. Is that going to be?
I've got Kraven's Last Hunt, and it's a really cool graphic novel. But yeah, I guess I'm interested to see where the future of the MCU goes, but I don't know. I still think maybe they're doing too much too fast, and maybe it does feel a bit quantity over quality.
It does feel a bit watered down now. I was the same with like Miss Marvel. It's like I feel like I just have to watch it just to keep up, rather than because I want to.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of things to look forward to, but it might be a bit more spaced out of what's actually really good, and it might just be a whole load of stuff that's very middle of the road or weak for MCU. But
suppose it's because there's so many characters now, and there's just more to come. It's like there's only so many you can actually feel invested or give a shit about.
Personally, I feel that maybe there should have been maybe not Avengers, but a big team up film at the end of Phase 4, or something, because I think that's maybe what's lacking with both Phase 4 and what's looking at. Well, I say Phase 5. I guess at the end of Phase 5 you got the Thunderbolts, so that's I guess a team up movie there. But I guess with Phase 4 it definitely feels it's lacking that team up film, and I think that's why the Phase 1 to 3 all work, because it would all end up with a team up film at some point. So you finish that phase and you'd be like, well, this is where these characters are and this is where they're going, and it'd be nice. But Phase 4 is just so sporadic that you're not really sure what half your characters are doing.
You know what? I'm looking at the list and I'm just thinking, like, when are Eternals going to come into all this, or are they?
That's what I'm wondering. Well, one, they've announced that they're going to do an Eternals 2, so we know they're coming. There's going to be a second Eternals. 2, we know that they're coming back at some point. And 3, why isn't no one spoken about the random half celestial on Earth?
Yeah, just a random one.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. At least by the time this is out, She-Hulk will have begun. So I'm hoping.
And I'll make sure to watch that to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it releasing straight onto Disney Plus?
Yeah, first episode. 9 episodes.
Wait, it's going to be a series?
Yeah, it's a series. First episode is on Thursday, and there's going to be 9 episodes. I've
got a question for you guys then. Is it just me, or does it seem that, like, if you compare it to like Phase 1, there seem to be a lot more film based, television based rather than individual film bases? Do you think they're going in that more of a direction?
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think it's just a bit. I think the bigger characters are going to have the films, and the smaller characters are going to be TV shows that they can build up.
Here's the thing, though: the TV series ones are going to start appearing in the films. So
Yeah.
where do you draw the line?
So, like, if you've not watched Miss Marvel, you can have information you don't have when the Marvels comes out. If you've not watched Hawkeye, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Widow, I've always said Hawkeye, and maybe some other ones. I don't know. You can have information you missing for when you watch the Thunderbolts, for example. Even like Black Widow, you need to have watched for Hawkeye. I see WandaVision you need to have watched for Doctor Strange that came out this year. Even there's a whole load, and even She-Hulk, you need to watch She-Hulk for when Daredevil comes out. So,
I was about to say, in regards to Daredevil, do you think they're going to rely on a lot of people watching the Netflix show because it wasn't technically part of Disney back then? Because I'm wondering, like, because you said he's going to make an appearance in She-Hulk, like whether he'll have essentially like a sort of soft reboot. So you're introduced to him again before his series comes out? Or?
I don't know, because I'm not really sure what they're going to do, because in She-Hulk, he's in his original costume, the yellow costume. So I'm wondering what they're doing there. I'm not. So I think until we see him in She-Hulk, we won't know. But maybe they're doing a soft reboot. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I would like to believe that the Netflix Daredevil is canon, and it's continuing from there. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a soft reboot. I don't know.
You had the in the Netflix one. You had the cliffhanger with Bullseye right at the end, like the villain.
Yeah, or maybe that's what Born Again is going to be. They'll bring actually have Bullseye in his proper costume, and he'll return in Born Again.
Properly played by Colin Farrell this time.
Get out of it! Or just have Ben Affleck. I don't know, guesting as a fucking whatever.
Well, Rob Zombie doing the soundtrack like they did in the original. I'm all for that.
Or is it Nickelback?
Yeah, Nickelback. I'll tell you what, though. Did they not also announce that John Berthel as the Punisher is also coming back as well in some regard?
Maybe.
I'm sure I've read that. Unless I just dreamt it, but I don't think so. I'm sure that's goes announced. Because I wondered if he's going to appear before something like before Devil, or whether he's going to be part of Daredevil's storyline as well.
I have honestly no idea what Born Again is going to be. I'm actually trying to look at what they're saying, but there's not really anything I can see. So
all I know is I'd really like to see the Punisher beating the shit out of Kang at the end of Secret Wars.
Well, we know that Kingpin is going to be in Born Again. That's also announced.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so Kingpin will be back as well. I don't know, it says reboot, so I don't know. Maybe it is a reboot, maybe it's not. I don't know. I think we'll get an idea with She-Hulk when Daredevil appears in She-Hulk. We'll get an idea. But until then, who knows? But all we have to do is wait to see Daredevil Born Again.
Let's take a very slight tangent on this.
Yeah.
With regards to Kingpin.
Yeah.
Are you folks familiar with a YouTube channel called Suede?
No.
No.
He used to do like anime reviews and that, but he's kind of like rebooted his channel because he got in trouble with like DMCA stuff. But this guy Suede, he's autistic. And he did a video recently on like Kingpin and also the Riddler from the Batman, like highlighting parts of their personality with regards to like autism. Like even though like Kingpin's never been officially announced as like autistic, he's got very strong traits which he picks up on.
Wait,
and it's just an interesting video.
wait, you say Kingpin and who?
The Riddler version from the new Batman.
Okay.
I just thought it was an interesting video. I heard of him. He's all right.
No. Well, hopefully, that's been episode 33.
Episode 33.
Yay!
I'll find
Actually, I could crowbar one more thing in since we've re-recorded.
Yeah.
Just to end, since we've been talking about all this different stuff in like the multiverse is coming to like phase 5 and 6. And, well, it is already. But just very quickly, I just wanted to mention the game Multiverses in that regard because I've played a bit of that. Have you guys played it? Because it's free at all.
No. You know what? I've just because I actually caught up with it on Webtoon this week. What Multiverse reminds me of is the webtoon or webcomic Scoob and Shag, and which is very similar. Where it's like a multiverse of loads of characters from like cartoons and that coming together. But anyway, carry on, Chris.
Yeah, can't say I've heard of that one. But,
you should check it out. It's good.
Okay. So Multiverses is basically a Smash Brothers clone, albeit quite a watered down one. But it's using properties that Warner Brothers had. So think Looney Tunes, think DC Comics, and like some Cartoon Network stuff. Yeah, it's all right. It's very basic Smash Bros. It's sadly got this sort of Fortnite kind of battle pass sort of system going on, like which like requires you to like want to play it daily. I mean, suppose for free, it's not bad if you want like Smash Brothers, but don't feel like paying £60. This is like a cheap alternative, I guess, because he does play like it, but there's not much to it because you've only got like I think like 6 characters to start with, and I think there's only like 5 different stages. But it has only just come out. I know there's more coming, but I think I've had my fill already. I think all in all, I've played it for like 12, maybe 15 hours. All in all, I've unlocked a couple of characters, so there is like the stuff to like unlock like new banners and cosmetics and all that stuff if you care about that. I personally don't give a shit about stuff like that, but it does feel like I'll give it this. It does feel like there's some sense of progression because you can unlock characters. That feels like more of a sort of tangible reward. It's like, oh, and you can sort of choose who you can unlock. But after unlocking 2 characters, I'm looking at what I need to like unlock the rest because it's all like the in-game currency, and you unlock it at such a slow pace. It's like nigh on torturous because, of course, they want you to buy the currency and all that kind of crap. Which I'm never going to do in a month for Sundays. But yeah, I unlocked like the 2 characters I wanted. I was like, oh, who have I got? We got like Bugs Bunny. It's like, maybe. But then I seen Tom and Jerry and the Tasmanian Devil. I was like, yeah, I'm playing as the Tasmanian Devil. Definitely. So I unlocked him, Tom and Jerry, and looking back, I was like, how many of these other characters do I care about? I don't give a toss about Steven Universe. So, and they want like.
Yeah, don't say that to Dan.
Sorry, Dan. I don't give a toss. Sorry, Dan. I don't give a toss about Steven Universe. It's not my thing. I watched the first episode and nearly died of cuteness, I guess. It's really, really not my thing. Evil Dead's my kind of thing. No, I know. Steven Universe isn't that.
All jokes aside, yeah, I don't think Steven Universe is your thing at all.
Definitely not. If you like it, fine. I'm glad you like it.
It's absolutely amazing, but I don't think it's your thing at all.
I will stick with Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is great. But yeah.
Now I'm... I think we should finish this podcast now.
Fine. But yeah, Multiverses. Download it, play it for a bit, stick it in the bin.
I might check it out, but I think I always say this and never do. That's my problem.
Yeah. It's worth it for a quick fuck about. For free,
I
anyway.
downloaded the Nickelodeon one and not even played that.
I didn't even download that one and I got offered it for free.
It's because I got it offered
Oh.
for free. I downloaded it.
I didn't have the hard drive space, I didn't bother.
I just added it. I've not downloaded it. I mean, that's what I do. Just add everything and yeah, whatever.
I'm sure there's certain games you look at and you just know you're never going to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point.
I remember when I used to work with this guy and he made me download Drawn to Death, and I never played it. And then recently, I've just heard anyone who talks about Drawn to Death, they shit on it so hard, and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I've never played this game if it's meant to be this bad. So I'm glad I have not wasted my time on that game.
I tell you what's a really good smug feeling is when you don't like something and then something bad comes out, and then you like look back on it going, "Told you so." Don't do it bad. You wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Satisfying. To a degree.
Yep, pretty much. But well, that has been episode 33. As always,
Fantastic,
you
lads.
can follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and these two will be streaming on Twitch. As you know, Spanky Rambles and Sibaka.
Hopefully, when the temperature drops, I'll be back to streaming. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, there you go with that. Yeah, you'll hear us again in 2 weeks. I hope you're all safe and have a good 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Yep. And do make sure you eat fully roasted chickens.
Yeah, not half
Half
roasted
roasted
chickens, the salmonella risk.
Yeah, we want you to survive for the next episode.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye bye.
That's it, guys.